Welcome back to our series of interviews with social workers in celebration of Social Work Month. Today, I'm excited to introduce our next guest, who is a recent graduate into the social work field, and I had the pleasure of teaching her at one point in her journey while she attended Fordham Graduate School of Social Service. So this is like a come back home moment for me, and it's a privilege to know that she made it. Yes, that I had a part in her learning experience. And I can't wait to just delve into her experience and gain some insights into the challenges and rewards that come from being a social worker. But first, I'm Amanda Fludd, licensed clinical social worker, speaker, coach, adjunct professor, entrepreneur, and creator of this audacious project, interviewing a social worker a day for 30 days. But today, I'm joined by graduate Rosaly Carrasquillo. Yeah. So Rosaly, we're gonna get straight into the girl. What does breaking barriers mean to you?
Hi, Professor Flood. Thanks for having me. Breaking barriers in social work to me means always showing up and not giving up. There's always challenges no matter what, but we do have to break those barriers because that's what we're here to do for our clients, and we have to do that for ourselves to serve our clients. So that to me is what I take away when I hear that.
I love it. Spoken like a amazing social worker. I love it. Okay, so in terms of this work and how you got here, I'm curious what motivated you to become a social worker?
So I graduated from undergrad in 2011 from New York, and I just relocated to Miami, Florida, and didn't know what I was going to do and decided to volunteer after I got my undergrad degree in psychology. And I landed in volunteer work in child welfare and foster care in Miami. And it kind of fell on my lap, but I think that I've always had it in me and it's always been something that's been in my path. I just had to get introduced to it. So I think that the introduction, doing field work, volunteer work, introduced it to me. And that was in 2011. And here I am now, all these years later, with experience and finally getting my MSW and hopefully getting my license soon. And
Awesome.
so, just I love helping people. I love helping giving back to the community and showing people that there's ways to make change and do change and see change and
Mm-hmm.
everything doesn't always have to be dark.
Well said on like so many levels. And I hear that part of you that it was always kind of there, this like desire to help. And then it kind of like called you in the way that you ended up working with kids in foster care, and embracing this idea of we can help and bring some light into a situation. Just amazing altogether. One of the things that I don't think people always realize is that like it takes a lot to be a social worker. In addition to our education, we have to do a certain amount of field hours to even like get that initial Masters of Social Work designation. And then beyond that, it's the licensing exam that you're getting ready to sit for and that you will pass. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right. For that LMSW. And then if you continue, it's like more supervised hours, and to go on, it's another exam for the LCSW. So it's really this like extensive commitment. And so far from the commitment, both academically and then with your field experience, what has been some of your takeaways so far? What have you learned about this work?
I think that my program being online was like a lifesaver. I was able to accomplish it because I have a young child and I have a full-time job in child welfare. And so it was a challenge period to think about going back to school. Um, Luckily, I was blessed with the ability to have my internship at my agency in another department. So I was able
Mm-hmm.
to do my job and my internship, but it was really difficult because it was a lot of hours. It was early mornings, it was late nights, it was weekends. And I was able to have some clinical experience with my internship, and I had an amazing supervisor that was an amazing mentor that I still have as a mentor.
That's
And
great.
I got that experience to do therapy with foster kids and to kind of see the clinical component of it. Therapy is something that I've been interested in being a clinician, but I kind of geared away from it. But I think that my experience gave me a little bit more interest in wetting my feet in that area. So I learned a lot.
And I'm glad you had a great supervisor. I feel like sometimes that could make or break the experience too.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And then something I didn't know is just how much you were balancing to do this, right? So, for other people that are doing this, that's kind of on the fence, whether it's because they've got so much going on with life, or maybe even just toying with the idea of online education, because I don't even think that was really an option when I did social work forever ago. I think the pandemic definitely changed that. But, in terms of like balancing it all, what advice would you give for folks? And even like, is online, has that been an enriching experience too?
The online works for me. You have to be very organized, and I think that I'm very organized and structured. So
Hmm.
you have to carve out the time that you need to do your work. You need to carve out the time that you have live class, and really carve out your time for your papers and balancing my work schedule. I think the key is organization. If you're not organized, you don't know what's coming when it's coming. And so everything will just slap you at the same time.
Hmm.
And I think that I stood ahead of the game because I was always organized. And I had of my agency that I worked for was very understanding and knowing that I was in three places at once for 2.5 years.
Right.
So,
Wow.
they were very understanding. I think as long as you're motivated and you want to do it and you're committed and you're
Hmm.
organized, I think that's all that you need.
Okay. I feel like you just gave like the extra prerequisites for this field here, right? If you're not organized, don't bother. No.
Yes.
Because it is a lot. I think sometimes people think online will be a little bit easier, but it's its
Hard.
own unique challenges in itself. I think even our program is like it's like back to
Advanced.
back. You really don't get a break. So it's a
Yes.
challenge.
Yes. It definitely
Yeah.
was. I think that people think because it is online, it's easier, but it's 8-week classes and it was 2.5 years of 8-week classes nonstop. And then an internship of 11 months. My internship was almost 12 months. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a big commitment. It's a
It
big
is.
commitment. But now I know that a lot of doors and opportunities will open up to me because I have this degree. Because I was in the field for several years, but without having my master's, it's limited to how far I can go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you raised that point. So it does open up doors, which, I think that is worth it in so many different ways, right? It's the opportunity. And like you come with like a different level and perspective to that now you get to bring to the work, having done the
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that said, where do you see yourself going in the field?
I love child welfare. So I want to say I want to stay in child welfare, but I'm also very interested in like school social work.
Mhm.
And selfishly, because like I said, I have a young child and having
Mhm.
that schedule that you can mirror and those vacations that you can mirror will make
Summer's
my life,
off.
yes, it will make my life easier. But I know
Right.
that it's still children, but it is a different population.
Mm.
So, but I do know that I want to stay working with children, whether it's staying in child welfare and preventive services like I am now, whether it's
Mhm.
doing foster care or whether it's school age children. I definitely want to stay working with children. That's where I see myself. That's where
I
I see
love
the
it.
biggest impact, to be honest.
Powerful. So finish this sentence for me. I wish people understood social workers, dot, dot, dot.
I wish people would understand social workers are a resource instead of looking at us like villains. I think that oftentimes when somebody's dealing with a social worker, the guards go up
Go
and
right up.
I'm looking like I'm a bad parent and I'm a bad this and I'm a bad
Mm.
that and this is why you're here and I don't really want to speak to you about my issues.
And like the anger comes up and really gets in the
Yes.
way. Hmm.
Instead of it being like, I'm in a situation, this is a person that is here because this is their field. They care about helping people like me and just opening their arms and saying, like, what can you help me with? I'm
Yeah.
open to receive. And I think that we don't get that. And that's what makes it challenging to want to stay committed, I think. Um, but I think that our lives would be a lot simpler as social workers if we did receive that.
I love that. I think it really requires a change in the messaging about who we are as social workers. It isn't
Hmm.
just that we're here to like enforce something bad or cause harm. Like we are really
Hmm.
here to protect and serve. I think sometimes there may be some bad experiences out there, but there could be bad experience with everything, but it doesn't mean that the rest of the profession is like that or the next person won't genuinely want to
Yes.
Support you.
I think that like when the families that I work with, when the families come to meet with me for conferences and they sit at the table, we let them know we're not here to shame or blame. And we normalize for them their experiences so that they can feel comfortable, because the reality is that we know you're in a situation because of something. So let us just help. And that's kind of the message that I always try to bring to my meetings when I meet with the families that we serve in our community.
And amazing, because shame and blame, that's what keeps a lot of us from getting help.
Absolutely.
Right? We take that on and, we blame ourselves, or we feel bad about, why I'm not doing well with my kids, or why I'm not doing well at work, or that I even have like some emotional issues, and it gets in the way of people getting to help. And like there are all these amazing resources out there that I think social workers in particular are privy to. Not that that's the only thing that we do, but it is something that we bring to the table that's, I think, unique to our field.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like you're missing out the longer it takes you to
Absolutely to come around. But we're always here, and we always will be. And when people are ready to meet us halfway and meet us there, that's where we will be.
Whenever you're ready. Absolutely. Yeah. Rosaly, like, thank you so much for deciding
this is
to
awesome.
to do this, and even to go on this journey and like share your story with us. I think, I feel like I'm speaking for all the social work when I say we welcome you and your energy and your ideas and your willingness to just affect change and, see people and give them a space to be themselves without judgment. Like that is so powerful. So I really look forward to what you're going to do in this field, girl.
I know. Yes, me too. And hopefully we will cross paths again.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like, I don't want to say I'm like a senior, but I feel like a veteran. I'm going to leave you with some veteran advice. And I think if I had to say anything to you and all the newer social workers, I think it's really to keep learning. And don't be afraid to be yourself. I think you guys are a generation that are in a great position to be more authentic in terms of who you are, because the lens and view of social work is just changing. And it's okay to show up as your full, I'm gonna say colorful self, but the vibrancy of our culture, the vibrancy of just like who we are, we can bring all of that to the table, which is awesome. But definitely keep learning the skills and the craft that is social work, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And also don't be afraid to like leave things that don't work for you. I think we end up working in a lot of systems that are sometimes really difficult to change, but don't let that steal your joy or that zest for the work. Maintain your work ethic, push the norms, of course, learn as much as you can again, but don't be afraid to like eventually leave something that isn't serving you or your clients, right? Like don't settle.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all that advice.
Yeah, for sure. Right. So to everyone else that's listening, we thank you for taking that time with us. To all the professionals, we see you, we thank you, and happy Social Work Month. And if you would, if you want to leave your own advice, right, feel free to do that in the comments. Then hit like and share this conversation. I think the more that we are open about what we do in this field, that's how we begin to change the narrative, because there's still a lot of myths about who we are as social workers and what we do, and just the potential like for our skills and all the things that we really can do. We're so diverse, so we would appreciate that share as well. But otherwise, thank you so much, Rosaly. Thank you, everyone. Happy Social Work Month.
Yes.
Look at my shirt. Social work is dope.
I love it.